Module 2, Texture. The element of texture in music is really quite different from the concept of texture in visual art, or just as we usually use the term normally in speech. Musical texture doesn't refer to the sense of touch as we would expect. For example, the texture of my desk is smooth, the texture of the carpet is bumpy, the texture of the cat is furry. But musical texture refers to how many melodic elements or elements of interest are going on at the same time. How many threads is the listener called upon to pay attention to? Let me explain this a little more closely. The different musical textures could be illustrated by different kinds of sports activities. I'll show you how this works as I explain each of the 4 kinds of texture. You'll need to know these 4 types of texture, these words. The first example is called monophony. Mono means one, phony means sound. Now, it's not just a single sound, but a single melodic line. A monophonic texture has only one thing going on, a melody, just a melody. One person or 2 people or 3 people, but everyone is singing a single melody, the same melody. It's a little bit like golf. One person is golfing at any one time. That's it. There's not multiple activities going on at the same time. Here's an example showing monophony, and it uses the African American spiritual Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. You'll notice that all the singers are singing the melody together, not only the words, but the same rhythm and the same pitch. There's nothing else going on.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
Now, monophony can be varied slightly, upgraded if you will, into heterophony. Heterophony means that it's mostly the same thing going on at the same time, but there are small differences. Individual melodic lines can creep in and be similar to the whole melody, but offer a little bit of variation. I was trying to think of a sports metaphor for heterophony, and the best I could come up with is a sort of ribbon sport that you might see at the Olympics, where everybody's trying to move their ribbons in the same way, but just the natural way that ribbons float and fall means that all the ribbon motions are not always exactly synchronized. If you listen to this example, you'll hear the women singing the tune Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and you'll hear Michael in the background singing mostly the same tune, but then he improvises a little bit and gives it a slightly different contour, a different texture. It becomes heterophony.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
Both monophony and heterophony are simply melodic lines. Heterophony is commonly found in folk song, where everyone is sort of singing the same thing, but perhaps people have learned that folk melody in slightly different ways, and so we have those little variations. But what about music that uses the element of harmony? What if you have a melody supported by groups of pitches that are chords? In that case, you've got the texture homophony. Homophony means that there is a featured melodic line that we're supposed to pay attention to the most. And it's supported by other performers. Musicians could be singers, instrumentalists, it doesn't matter. And while they're performing important notes, our attention is still glued to that single melody that's above the rest of the texture. Homophony is a little bit like a basketball player at the net, ready to make a shot, and all of the players on his team are trying to assist him by keeping away the members of the other team. The person with the ball is the one on whom our attention is focused, but he couldn't do his work without all the people around him helping him make that shot. Here is Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in a homophonic texture. The melody is sung by the sopranos, and the supporting harmonic pitches, the chords, are sung by the altos and the bass.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
And finally, the last texture is polyphony. Polyphony is the multitasking texture. There's a lot going on. Poly, of course, meaning many. There are many sounds. Now, it doesn't just mean any sounds. It means there are many, or more than one, melodic ideas that are happening at any given time. I tried to think of a sports image for polyphony. I tried to think of a sport where there are more than one activity going on at the same time. And the best I could come up with was cricket, or maybe baseball, I suppose. One person's running around bases, or if you're doing cricket, running around some wickets. And on the other team is doing something separate, throwing a ball, trying to throw the runner out or knock over the wickets with the ball. If you're a Harry Potter fan, it's a little bit easier to describe because the game of Quidditch is indeed a very polyphonic texture. One player's trying to find the golden snitch. Other players are trying to keep off the dreaded bludgers that are knocking people off their brooms. And then there are just the players that are trying to score with yet another ball. There are three things going on at once. It's a very polyphonic texture. In this musical example, you'll hear again Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, but you'll also hear two other spirituals, Oh When the Saints Go Marching In, and I'm Gonna Sing, Sing, Sing. In this recording, the singers not only layer the melodic elements one after another, and we have to decide which to listen to, but they've also chosen to use distinct visual motions, gestures with their hands and their bodies, linked to each of those melodies. So as you watch, it's also a sort of visual polyphony.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Oh, swing the third, oh, sweet chariot, oh, with the saints for to carry me home. Oh, what I want to be in the chariot, with the saints for to carry me home. Oh, with the saints, oh, what is it? Oh, with the saints for to carry me home. Oh, what I want to see in the chariot, with the saints for to carry me home.
4 types of texture: monophony, heterophony, homophony, and polyphony. You can practice listening to the kinds of texture in any music you hear. Try and decide if there is simply one melodic element and nothing else, if there's a melodic element supported by other harmonic textures, or if there are 2 or more melodic lines that are all calling for your attention. You can practice finding texture.